Here's a video on how I made this bowl. I give you a behind the scenes look at some new work I've been working on for Brian Baxter at the Catbird seat in Nashville, Tennessee. I met Baxter at Huss Nashville over 4 years ago, and lucky to still be working with him. He's a phenomenal chef, and I just recently got to go out there and have this tasting menu, and was probably one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. If you get the chance to go, I highly recommend it. So what I'm doing here is wedging up the clay, and these take about 3 pounds of clay. What I'm doing is just getting everything the same throughout the clay ball, and essentially this removes all the air, and it makes the throwing much easier. So I take this little bit of clay and I'm preparing a pad to attach a bat to the wheel head. This is what I throw most of my plates and bowls on, just so that I don't actually have to touch the wet work before I can remove it from the wheel head. Next comes actually throwing the bowl. So these are one of the trickier forms that I make, and you'll see once you get to the point where you're trying to lay down that wide rim, you really have to be careful to not let that flop all the way over onto the wheel head. And here's another view from the top down, just to give you a little bit better idea of what my hands are doing while I'm forming this thing. So once the pot's been trimmed and bisque fired, I'll go ahead and apply the wood ash to the rim. So these ashes actually come from my neighbor. They are oak. He burns oak in his wood furnace in his house during the wintertime, and he'll collect all these over the course of the winter for me. Usually, he has enough to supply me for the entire year. Now I'm just spraying these with a little bit of water just to set the ash so that it doesn't blow off. And actually, this will make the ash sort of bead up a little bit during the firing too. I'll load these up in the electric kiln and fire them to cone 6. And after the firing is cooled down enough, we can unload the pots and check them, make sure they're all sound without any cracks or other issues. And the last step in the process for me is a wet sanding, just to remove any sort of sharp edges that the ash might have left, as well as the bare clay sometimes has some grog that will come out and be a little bit rough on the surface. And this is the finished product.